Peter Moriarty is our guest presenter this afternoon, and he's from IT Genius. And today he's talking to us about making tech your friend, win from home with Google's best business tools. If you have been living under a rock, you might not know Peter, but otherwise he's the #1 Googler in Australia, and he'll be sharing today his secrets to productive work at home from his experience of managing 35 team members remotely from 5+ years and helping transition thousands of businesses to remote work. So Peter is an expert in small business cloud computing and has been ranked as one of Australia's top 10 entrepreneurs under 30 3 times, wow, by Smart Company. And he's still under 30, by the way, and Australian Anthill Productions as well. He regularly is featured in Australian and international media advising on business cloud technology and has grown IT Genius to be the #1 small business Google Cloud partner in Australia. Fantastic. And he's no stranger to BX events. He's no stranger to us. And he's a good friend of Business Blueprint as well for all of our fans that have crossed over with us as well. So welcome, Peter Moriarty. Thank you.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so much. Woo! I'm actually 31 now, so I've crossed the bridge. I'm not allowed into any more 30 under 30 lists. But
you're catching up to me.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Going to jump into the presentation here. This is called Making Tech Your Friend. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
You can, excellent. Awesome. So look, what our business is all about is helping small and medium business owners get control of their tech. I have built a successful business and a successful team. We've got multiple millions of dollars of recurring revenue and now over 35 staff all working remotely. Personally, I'm financially free. The business runs itself and I'm in a very good place and comfortable myself. But what I really enjoy spending my time doing now is continuing to help small business owners thrive and basically get tech to be on your side so you don't feel like it's something that you've got to fight against. So you can actually use it as a tool for leverage in your business because that's really what technology should be. And so there's 3 kinds of business owners that we help. For early stage business owners, we help you kind of get your stuff in sync. If your tech is a mess right now, we'll help you get everything running smoothly and simple and working across all your different devices so that you can actually get your work done without having to struggle every day just to get work done because tech's holding you back. For businesses that are a bit more established and maybe in that growth mode or scale mode, maybe you're savvy enough to already be using Google's ecosystem of tools, but you just need some help getting the right things in place or some KPIs and dashboards and those kind of things will help you kind of get your business systemized so you can scale it. And then for more mature business owners and mature businesses who've maybe had an established business, and I'm talking about it's been around 10 or 15 years, and you've either taken it on from someone else or you've just been running it for a long time. But you're doing things the old way. Maybe you're paying an IT guy $1,000 a month and you've got servers and Microsoft stuff in the office and you want to transition to a more cloud-based, more modern way of working. We also help those businesses as well. But all our customers are small business owners. We seldom have businesses more than 20 employees. We do have a handful, but we really love small business space. So yeah, you can see there, we've got a few of the kind of larger corporates and whatnot that we do work with. Canva, one of our biggest customers there, O'Brien, which was previously Laser Electrical. And Matt already mentioned we're the top partner for Google. But the thing that I really love is, as Matt said, helping small business owners succeed and helping you guys thrive.
We'll have to get our logo on that.
Oh, you love that? Awesome. Cool.
We'll have to get our logo on there, mate.
And I've got chat right up here in front of me. So guys, I love for these to be interactive. So please, if you're loving it, type I'm loving it. If you think it's terrible, say this is terrible. If you think I'm sexy, say Pete, I think you're sexy. Just type it in the chat. And if you have any questions or if I move too quickly on something and you'd like me to repeat it, just pop it straight in there in the chat. And that goes for you too, Matt. If you want to jump in, you can either jump in or just go ahead and chuck it in the chat for me. Is that all good?
Will do. Yep.
Rock and roll. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys through some traps for new players, and I'm also going to take you guys through, how the workplace has been changing and how we need to now adapt to it. And so this is what we often see when we've got an office, right? We've got a big whiteboard, and I love this stock image. It's so 90s. We've got this big whiteboard, and that kind of tells us everything that's going on in the business, right? And it might be the prospects that you're chasing, might be the strategic projects that you have, might be, I don't know, the top 10 bills that you've got to pay or whatever it is. But having like a central location in a physical space is how many of us have done work for a very long time. However, now many of us have actually switched to working remotely, and working remotely is a new thing for many of us. Not everyone has been working at home before. Some of you may have been, and that's great. But I'm going to share some traps for new players for those that may not have worked from home or may not have had teams that have worked from home. But just in general, I want to take you guys through how you can actually make your technology work for you to coordinate and grow a team. Because everyone knows if you want to build a business that is successful, that can run without you, that's probably the most important thing. One of the reasons why we get into business, right? Apart from being unemployable, a lot of us want to actually have time freedom. And so you've got to build a team around you to have time freedom. But also, if you want to have a business that's actually an asset and going to be worth anything, then eventually it's going to have to run mostly without you, so you can hand it off to someone else, sell it to someone else, or take on investors or whatever your exit strategy is. So the framework that we have for that is called the 3 C's of the remote work tech stack. And this is not just for businesses that want to run remotely. This is really for any business that wants to run efficiently. But I've been talking about how we're all going to go remote for the last 5 years. No one was listening to me, and now everyone's forced to. So this is my moment. I'm excited. And so, we've had our business has been around for 11 years now. In the last 5 years, everybody has worked from home. So we've been through all of the challenges of a team of 35 working full-time from home. Some of the team travels, some of them work from co-working spaces, but primarily we're working at home. I'm a bit of a mix of everything. And so I'm going to show you guys, what is the technology, but also what is the people side and the human side of the technology to actually make sure that works for you. So the 3 C's: connect, coordinate, communicate, automate. Connect, coordinate, communicate, automate. These are the 3 C's, and the A is thrown on there as a little bonus, because not only do we have to have intention in what we're doing, but if we can automate some things with technology as well, then that's going to also help us too. So let's start out with connect. And this is really what I think is the foundation of you just being able to get work done remotely. Many businesses, particularly if you're in that established business kind of zone, if you've got a server and a VPN and remote desktop to do your work, it's a pretty crappy experience. One of our clients used to drive to work, and it was like a half-hour drive in Sydney. He would commute to work to check his emails, because the way that his IT consultant had set up his computers and servers and everything meant that the remote access was just so slow and so cumbersome that he just didn't even want to work from home. So he literally used to spend an hour a day driving just to avoid that tech cramp. And so you've really got to get a basic level of foundational collaboration between you and your team to be able to work. The new fancy thing for the last 5 years has been outsource and build a team in the Philippines. And that's great if that works for your business model. Certainly works for us. But if you want to build any kind of remote team, whether it's team members working from home locally here in Australia or offshore in an international space, then you've got to have a way of people actually getting work done together. And so the first thing that I want you to think about when you're working at home is your personal productivity. And I'm going to take you guys through some tips on how you can make sure that you are personally productive before you go and add in your team members. Because if you're not productive as a business owner, as a CEO, then you're never going to be able to lead your team to be productive. Now, you guys will know that your team don't get great results unless you have your shit together. And Matt, I'm sorry, I hope the naughty words are okay. But unless you actually are able to be productive yourself, you're never going to be able to lead a great team to be productive. So the first thing that I want you to do is reach for your phone, reach for your email, reach for your Facebook, and switch off all of your notifications. If you're ready for it, you can even delete the Facebook app from your phone. That's a good idea. But I want you to unwire your brain from the ADD distracted mode of always being on call to your notifications. There is literally a dopamine response that happens in your brain when you get notifications from all these different apps, which is really damaging, especially if you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you touch is your phone. We're going to cover more on that kind of stuff later on. But switching off your notifications allows you to take back control of how you interact with technology. If you're the kind of person who's trying to get some deep work done, and then you've got an email that pops up and it distracts you, you guys would have heard the saying, it takes 30 to 45 minutes to get back into that deep work mode of actually getting productive work done. And if you've got things buzzing and beeping and text messages and all those kind of things going all day long, then it's just absolutely not going to work for you. So I'm going to take you through some more strategies later in the presentation on reducing external distractions so that you can stay productive. Now, one of the things that happens when we get into this ADD brain mode, or I call it millennial brain, is that we can't concentrate on anything for long periods of time. And I find myself, particularly when I'm procrastinating on something, going and checking news sites or checking social media sites. And if you're checking all these different sites all the time, what tends to happen is like you're sitting in that email that you need to write or that document that you need to do, and you go, oh, I'll just check Facebook, or I'll just check LinkedIn, or I'll just check this news site, right? And if you're constantly going back and checking, that is actually exactly the same neural pathway, brain pattern, as the notifications pulling you away from your work. So I've got 2 recommendations for you here to actually get rid of that millennial brain. And that is, they're both Chrome plugins. So if you go to the Chrome web store, and you can add these to Google Chrome. One is called BlockSite. And what BlockSite does is it actually lets you block websites so you can't access them. So if I go into my my BlockSite here, I'm going to go ahead and switch it on. So it's currently snoozed at the moment, but I'm going to go and switch it on. And you can see here I've got a couple of news sites, and I've got Facebook here as well. If I go to Facebook, or I attempt to go to Facebook, it's going to say, "Ba-bow, you're not allowed." And that's a good way of training your brain and creating new neural pathways to not go to distracting websites while you're procrastinating or while you should be working on something else. So that one's pretty handy. Got another one for you as well. Just go ahead and switch that one off. And the next one is called Kill Facebook Newsfeed. And this does exactly that. It removes the newsfeed from Facebook. So when you access Facebook on a computer, it actually doesn't have a newsfeed, which really, really cuts down on the distraction level. So I'm going to go ahead and open my Facebook here. I've been newsfeed free for about 6 or 7 years now. And so you can see I can respond to notifications. I can respond to messages. I can access my groups. I can access anything else that I want to do. But I'm not going to be distracted by the constant scrolling of Facebook, which makes it really, really cool for me. Now, one of the things you might think is, well, Pete, what if I miss out on somebody's birthday or christening or something like that? And I have missed out on those kind of events. What I have found is that for my very close friends and my family, the people that are really important to me, I actually spend more time building more genuine relationships because I pick up the phone and call them because I want to know how they are. I don't know what's on Facebook because I haven't seen any of the stuff that's on Facebook. I have messenger groups and text message groups with my friends to keep a little bit more in touch with them. But it breaks down the barrier of me having a relationship with someone based on what I see on what they're putting on a social media site. So they're my 2 big recommendations for those. And we've got some comments coming through. Robin saying she's so guilty of that, and Matt saying that is awesome. Yay, awesome. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. Thank you very much. Cool. Okay, so let's move on and talk about more the technical side of connecting with your team. Google's got a really bunch of great tools for running a business. It's called G Suite. It is an alternative to the Microsoft ecosystem for running your business. And so I'm not going to go too much into depth on this, but I just wanted to kind of share with you guys what G Suite is really quickly, and how it can help you to not only work productively yourself, but work productively with your team. It might work for you when you're sitting in an office with someone to drop something onto the server or drop it into Dropbox and wait for it to synchronize. But the moment that you have people working in a non-linear fashion, and especially as your team grows and expands, you need to start working smarter. And G Suite really helps us work much smarter. Now, if you've got a Gmail address right now, you can see my Gmail address there. Had that since I don't know when. I'm just kidding. That's not actually mine. But if you've got a Gmail address, you're already familiar with Google's tools. And it's effectively the core applications are Google Drive, Gmail, Google Calendar, and of course in the business version you have things like Google Hangouts for your video calls, and then you have Google Chat, which is a little bit like Slack. It's an instant messaging product for everyone. And what most businesses do is they typically have lots of different hodgepodge of apps all brought together to try and make their business work. They're using Zoom for their calls, they're using Slack for the instant messaging, or maybe you're even using Facebook Messenger for your messaging, which is not a good idea because you're going to get distracted with the messages from mum, and messages from your friends, and that buddy who wants to have a barbecue on the weekend amongst all your business messages. People tend to use Dropbox, and that's a great product by itself, but it doesn't give you the real-time collaboration on documents. I think they added that feature, but then it's only Microsoft, and so the sharing gets a bit messy there. And the other problem with all of these applications and using them all in a hodgepodge is you end up with subscription fatigue. And subscription fatigue is where you pay $5 a month for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and all of a sudden you're effectively doubling up. Whereas G Suite gives you basically everything in one place. And we like to think of it like a Tesla. It's one fee, it's one subscription per user, and you get the full suite of tools. Now, it may not have every single button and bell and whistle that you find in Microsoft Word. It may not have every single button that you find in Zoom. It may not have every single button that you find in Outlook. But what Google does is 90% of what you need it to do really well for a really great price. And it's all cloud-based, so it's uber reliable, and it never goes down. And Microsoft and all the other apps can't really say the same thing. And so it's like a Tesla, because, you know, a normal gasoline car has a cooling system and has a, drivetrain. It's got a gearbox, transmission, fuel, all of those different bits and pieces that all have to work together in harmony, or try and work together in harmony. But there's so many points that can break or fail. Whereas a Tesla just only has, I think, less than 30 moving parts, hardly any. And all it needs is basically a big battery, a couple of drive engines, and then axles that go out to the wheels. Really simple. All right, cool. Matt has said time to lose Outlook, and Lorene as well. Yes, I'm not going to go too deep into Gmail, but I might show you guys something cool if we've got some time. We'll see how we go for time if we can come back to Gmail. Damien has said he's been on Google since the first beta with the googlemail.com address. Damien, I think you may have even exceeded my Googliness, which is pretty cool. I've been working with Google for over 10 years, but good to see some more Google fans that are here. So this is the Google Suite. You get basically everything that you need there, although RIP Google Plus, they shut that down for the public. And so Google basically gives you all the business tools that you need. And the thing I love about it is it's one login. You don't have to remember 10 different logins to all these different apps and services, and your team don't need to either, especially if you're growing and scaling a team. And we hired 6 people 1 month last year. We had to get them rapidly onboarded, and Google allows us to do that really easily. So we've got an admin panel here. For anyone who hasn't seen this before, just kind of showing what it looks like. As opposed to a Gmail address, like a personal consumer Gmail address, your Google business account lets you keep your own business domain name. So you can see everyone here is at itgenius.com. And it lets me add and remove users willy-nilly, set up groups and permissions. And I basically have control as the business owner. Great. So Google lets you work on documents at the same time, share those with multiple people. What this is really great for is when you're working remotely. The most pertinent example I can give you of this is if you jump on a Zoom call or a video meeting, hopefully it's Google Hangouts, and you've got 4 different people on the call, and you're discussing something, you're working on planning out a project, and 4 people take 4 different versions of notes, right? Maybe someone's on a piece of paper, someone's working in a task management application, someone's working in Google Keep, someone doesn't take any notes, they write it on their hand or whatever. You end up with 4 different versions of what your action items are, and no one really knows what's going on. Whereas with a Google document, or a smarter way of doing that same process, is while you're on the meeting, assigning one person as a scribe and sharing the document with everyone. So that one scribe kind of takes down either the minutes or the action items or the bullet points from that meeting. And then the others, because they can all see it, can adjust it or link it or assign themselves to one of those notes. And what that does is it's going to make sure that you're not doing the the back and forward or the guessing game of what the action items are. The other thing that this is great for is even preparing my presentation this afternoon. Angel, my marketing manager, and I were on a group call together, and I was saying, hey, Angel, I need this picture on slide 4, and I need this picture on slide 17, and can you change the order of this and that? And she was able to just go and do that while I was working on the content for the slides and aligning the slide content to my notes. And we're able to do that in real time. And so if you have never used Google Documents before, I'm going to go ahead and click on the revision history here. And this is going to show me all the different versions of the document. So I can go back to the beginning of time, which was today, when it was first put together. And you can see here, these are the slides that we started with. Looks like it was actually copied from another presentation. And then by 10:32 a.m., here we go. We've got a whole bunch more screenshots in there and some new slides that have been added. And I can even see who was doing the work. So Kriza, one of our marketing assistant team members, was working on that this morning. And then we have the final version here. And so Google basically gives you an unlimited revision history for every single version of the document that you're working on. Let me go back to finding it here. So every single version of the document is always tracked. And so you can always go back to any different point in time. If you've got a big spreadsheet, it tracks every change to every cell. And so everything is always recorded forever. And so you never need to worry about saving version 1, version 2, version 3, blah, 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 or who changed my document, or 2 people tried to open it in Dropbox at the same time and you had conflicting copies. No, all of that just completely disappears once you switch over to using Google Docs. Okay, so we've got some questions here. How many people can be on a Google Hangout? Up to 250, and that's all included in G Suite. There's no extra costs for that. And if you switch the broadcast button on, which we have some customers who are schools who want to broadcast to students, Many schools run G Suite because it's free for schools. You can have, I don't know, 100,000 people on there or something. Hopefully that's enough for you. Do I rate Google Meet over Zoom? I'm going to cover that very shortly. Short answer is yes. I trust Google's security much, much more than Zoom, even though Zoom have plugged most of the holes. Just for a medium and long-term strategy internally inside your company, probably makes sense to use Meet because it's part of G Suite rather than Zoom, which costs once you have to pay for extra features. And then Nikki has said, would love to hear what project management tool you suggest. I'm about to cover that. So glad that you asked. Okay, cool. Rock and roll, let's keep going. Let me know if this pace is okay, guys. If this pace is okay, say yes. If this could be slower, say could be slower. I do realize I move quickly, so just let me know how that's going, guys. Give me a quick feedback check in there. One of the things that I love about the Google ecosystem is Google have built in their AI smarts into their Google documents. And so this is a Google spreadsheet here. And basically Google uses machine learning and AI to automatically basically detect and recommend what graph you might like in your spreadsheet. Isn't that cool? And Google can even do AI pivot tables and AI calculations for you. If you select a bunch of cells, it says, Pete, maybe you're interested in getting a sum of those different cells. And so it'll automatically suggest the formula for that. The other thing that you can do is you can actually ask questions of your spreadsheet using natural language. And so if you type in what is the average of sales over the last 4 months, just like literally as a typed question, it'll actually just spit that answer back to you from your question. And so one of the reasons, people ask me all the time, should I use Microsoft or should I use Google as my business ecosystem? And the most compelling answer to that question is that Google are so far ahead with AI. Microsoft just can never really catch up to them. It's all being built into their systems. And because everything is cloud-based, because it all runs in the browser, and it does run online and offline as long as you're using Google Chrome, but because it's all based in the browser, Google don't have to create a version that works for Windows 10, a version that works for Windows 8, a version that works for Vista, a version that works for the iPad, a version that works for the Surface, which is what they have to do every time they write a new version of Outlook. And so because Google just have one version and it's running in the browser all the time, means that they can innovate much faster as a company. So that's it. That's enough of the Google pitch. We'll go on to some of the other fun stuff. Oh, we've still got Google Drive. Google Drive is better than Dropbox, full stop. We'll skip on. All right. So let's talk about keeping your team connected. I get asked all the time, all right, well, what's the best chat app to use? How should we keep our team connected? And Google basically completely ripped off Slack and created Google Chat. So if you've used or you've heard of Slack before, it's pretty much the same thing, but it's free and you don't have your messages held hostage after you go over the 10,000 message limit with Slack. Slack has this limit, and once you hit the limit, you have to pay for it for your whole team for a year to get access to it. So I don't like that way of doing business where it's free, but then they catch you somewhere down the line. And we've had many customers who've sent one message to one person a year ago, and then someone hits them up for unfair dismissal, and they're like, oh shit, I've got to find that communication. And they end up having to pay thousands of dollars for Slack. Anyway, Google Chat is free if you're on G Suite. And what we use this for, and what you should be using this for, is keeping your team connected. So we have this Team Genius room, just like a chat room. And this is where we instant message with each other. And you can see here at the start of the day, everyone's kind of checking in and saying good morning, or when they're off to lunch, they'll say that they're off to lunch. These get really, really busy. So I'm gonna try and find it to start. Here we go. Cool. So not only do we use this as kind of the good morning, good afternoon, that's the first thing that we use it for. The next thing that we use it for is also things like shout outs. So when one of our team does really well on a support ticket, or here we go, a customer sent me a screenshot of hanging out with the team on a hangout. We'll actually use this to shout out and share wins with the team. And shout out that they've done a good job. If a customer rates a support ticket and gives us a thumbs up on a support ticket, then we let them know as well. Now, questions come through saying, hey, are there different channels? Yes. So you can see here, I've got a channel for executive, for pod leaders, which is our leadership team. But then each area of the business has their own groups: finance, support, delivery, project management, sales, marketing. Everyone basically has their own different areas. And the teams will be chit-chatting away. You can see here the marketing team dropping different presentations, screenshots, bits of feedback, and other bits and pieces in there. And so very importantly, like that's all the kind of like business stuff, but you've got to have outside the business stuff as well. And so one of our most important rooms or channels, you could call it, is the water cooler. And so this is where we paste all of the non-businessy stuff. So the guys can, post YouTube videos. They'll post fun stuff that they find on the internet. Basically, it's the place that you go for the water cooler chit chat when you're not normally, working your actual work stuff. So if you finish the client call and you've got 5 minutes to blow off some steam, then it's a cool place to go and hang out in the water cooler. And the team even do, initiatives in there, like a gratitude journal, which is something the team were doing with the remote team last week to keep everyone connected. And so your water cooler is the place to replace, if you've previously been working in an office, that kind of like general chit chat of everyone in the team. So if you haven't already, I recommend going ahead and setting up a water cooler. So we've got a question that's come through. Can you invite non-Google users to a chat channel? You can't have them in a channel, but you can do a one-on-one message with non-Google users. But Google are building that in. I don't have an ETA on that, but it is definitely on the way. So that's guest users for anyone who's already using that. Okay, cool. We've covered off Connect. It's now time to get to Coordinate. And we had a question here around things like how do you manage your tasks, or how do you manage your projects? So I'm going to cover that here. But there was one question that I missed, which is, can you work offline on a Google spreadsheet? Yes, so you can work offline on a Google Sheet or a Google Doc, and it just saves everything to your Chrome. Then when you connect to the internet, it connects back up. Cool. I didn't get many answers. Let me know if this pace is okay. Say yes if this is okay, please. I need to hear it. Otherwise, I will slow down. Okay, Matt said yes. Nikki said yes. Sam said yes. Robin said yes. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. Just had to do that quick check-in there because sometimes I can go a little bit too quick for people. Okay, cool. We're in the age of information overload right now. And I'm overloading you right now. I get the irony. Don't worry. We're in the age of information overload right now, and we're getting smashed with the messages, with the notifications. And even though I just told you all about instant messaging, did you notice that I didn't instruct you to use instant messaging for, hey, is that presentation done? Or, hey, can you sign up to this website for me? Or, hey, can you check my email on Thursdays? Instant messaging is not for tasks. Instant messaging is just for communicating only the most urgent stuff. Okay, very important. Only the most urgent stuff. Instant messaging is equivalent to busting open somebody's office door and saying, hey, are you free right now? Because people are probably going to have notifications switched on, although I do recommend you switch it off. But instant messaging is effectively barging in on what somebody else is doing. So you would have noticed that we seldom use instant messaging. We use it to congratulate each other, and that's like kind of the virtual equivalent of ringing the bell when you make a big sale in the office. We also use it if we've got some time free in the water cooler chat. But if you have a look here in my water cooler chat, I've actually got the notifications switched off. So let me open up something, maybe not finance. Where's my water cooler? All right, see, there you go. So you can see there's a little bell there that's got a cross through it. So I've actually switched off the notifications for the water cooler. What that means is I'm not going to get pinged when people are posting junk in there. I can choose to go in when I want to go in. And so I'm in control of that communication. So I want you to switch from urgent communication and always urgent communication to non-urgent communication. Very important distinction. Emails are non-urgent communication. You could probably say that if someone emails you, you could safely wait 24 to 48 hours and reply to them on your turn, on your time, and the world probably wouldn't burn down. Because if it was that urgent, they're probably going to try and pick up the phone and call you. Yes, 7 to 14 days. I don't even manage my email anymore. Someone else manages that now. But yes, if it's in an email, it's not urgent. But why do we have notifications switched on? Why do we have our emails popping up on our phone? Why do we have our emails popping up on our computer? All that's going to do is distract us. And so I've got another trick for that, which is coming up later. But I want you to think about all of your communication with your team and think what actually has to be urgent. Only, you could argue, phone calls for you, not for the team. We'll cover that later too. Or instant messages for you that are actually urgent. They're the only things that should be coming through to you. Everything else should be somewhere else. Now, where is that somewhere else? when we're all in an office and we got that whiteboard, we can see where that is. You can put something up on the whiteboard, right? Or you can put something on a sticky note and put it on someone's desk. If you're not so diligent with your task management internally, you might be using emails internally to manage task management. That one's not a great way of managing email. And so one of the ways that we coordinate our tasks is using a shared task system or a collaborative task system. Now, there are many of them out there on the market. There's Asana, which I'm going to be demoing. There's Trello, there's Podio, there's teamwork.com, there's monday.com. All of these different apps do the same thing. It doesn't matter which one you use. It just matters that you pick one and that you actually use it. Most important thing. Now, we are an Asana partner. We're their first small business partner globally. So if you're interested at all in Asana, please come and have a chat to us about that. We can help you out with it. What I love about Asana is it has a free version for up to 15 people. And still, if you're interested in that, please get in touch with us anyway. We'd love to have you as a customer, even if it's just so you're under our wing on the free plan. Now, Asana allows you to build teams of up to 15 people for free, which is great. And it lets you coordinate all of your tasks for everything that's happening in the business. What this reduces is the instant messages, right, which are going to ping you and annoy you all the time. It's going to get your internal task coordination off email, which is, to be honest, a shitty medium for doing tasks, because when you're using email, it's a formal communication method. It's like, hi, Matt, how are you today? How was your afternoon? Here is a task for you. Kind regards, hope the family is well, Peter, right? That's what we do when we're on email, just naturally. So we don't want to do that. We can't say, no, it's not done yet, or yes, it's done, because email is just too formal for that. So Asana or a task management system gets you off email. And then number 3, it lets you do things on your time, And so you can coordinate, pass something off to someone else. It reduces the like, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet feeling, which plagues us as business owners because we've never got everything done, right? But what it does is it lets you and your team get work done on your time, and it reduces that ADD millennial brain. I'm all about reducing the ADD millennial brain. Because when we are in a state of always being, always half doing everything, you're never going to do anything well. And so you can see here, this is my content production project, and we've got probably 20 internal projects for the different areas of the business. We're now like a mid-market sized company, and then every customer projects that we do, we also have each one of our customer projects with a checklist and a set of implementation steps when we do implementations. This runs our whole company. And for many years, we were using the free version because even though we had more than 15 people, you can create multiple teams. So we just had like 3 or 4 teams of 15 people. And then we had enough space on the free plan for everything. But there's some cool features on the paid plan. So Matt has said he's been using Asana for 5 years, from 5 years ago. That's awesome. We just signed the partnership, Matt, after 5 years of begging them. They've made us their partner. So what I've got here, you can see, is like a board where I can move tasks. You can do task lists, which look like this. You've got deadlines, you've got recurring tasks, you've got everything that you would expect. But I don't want you guys to get overloaded on the features and the benefits and like what are all the things that Asana can do. The one key thing that you will use an app like this for is just to get your shit together on who is doing what in the business. If your brain is the to-do list for the whole business, then you are the bottleneck. And if you've got poor results from delegating tasks to your team, or you just don't feel like the business is like operating well or efficiently, or that you're hitting your goals as a business, then it may be due to the level of diligence you have around your task management and task coordination. So that's all I've got to say on tasks. Make sure you're using a system and make sure that you actually have everything in there and together. I am going to move on now. We're going to move on to communicate. This is the last one, and I've got plenty to share here. If there's any questions that you've got so far, please go ahead and throw them in. Nikki has said, happy to trial it out on the free version. Definitely go for it. George has said, that's what we do. Awesome. Pete has said, can you link a channel or chat to the Asana project? Yes, you can. Asana is linked to your G Suite account. So anytime a task is updated or there's a new comment or there's a new task created, you can have that go into Google Chat. All of these apps that I recommend and all the apps that we resell all form part of the best integrated apps with the Google ecosystem, because we've got like that foundational level. Remember I said foundation of G Suite in businesses, and all of these apps just basically like talk to G Suite. They're all hand in hand with the Google ecosystem, and they all play really nice. Cool. More feedback for Asana. Asana is great for project management. Yeah, it really is. So let's move on to communication. And I've got some more personal tips for your personal productivity on communication. I want you to think about your attention span and your ability to manage multiple tasks at once as a big jar of jelly beans. This is basically your bandwidth and your ability to think about what's going on and what's happening and all the things that you need to do on any given day. You've got one jar of jelly beans. And if you're driving down the street and you've got your phone sitting in the cradle for Google Maps and you hear a little ping and you see the little notification come up that you got a new email or you've got a new instant message from that client who has poor boundaries and is messaging you on Facebook because you're using Facebook Messenger, naughty, you are automatically going to have a jelly bean out of your jelly bean jar. So what that means is you've got an open loop. You may have heard of that before. It means that until you actually resolve that, until you fix that, you're not going to have the jelly bean coming back into your jar. And so what happens is you're driving along, you've got Google Maps on, ding, you get an email and it's from that client, right? And it's, maybe the subject line is in all capitals, maybe it says urgent, or, maybe it's that client, that client, everyone's got that client, right? It's that client, they've emailed you again and you're like, oh my God, you're sitting in traffic and you're just thinking, I'm either going to have to pull over and do something about this right now, or it's going to be on your mind for the next half an hour till you get to where you're going and you can actually deal with it. What that does is because there's jelly beans out of your jar, you're reducing your bandwidth for critical thinking. And that's literally how this millennial brain happens, right? Our bandwidth is spread so thinly across everything that we're doing, we're not able to actually concentrate and actually do our deep work. So one of the ways, and we're going to talk about phones now, one of the ways that I want you to reduce the millennial brain and reduce the number of distractions is to get the hell away from the mobile. Now that's hard, because these have become so ingrained in our lives. But I've got a few technology tools that are going to help you get away from the mobile. We already talked about the notifications. We've done that one to death, but I'd like to reiterate that because it's important. But what many of us do as business owners, either if we're a sole trader and you just run everything from the mobile, or if you're the head honcho of a business and you've just got poor boundaries and you basically give out your mobile number to everyone, which, we want to do that for like a sense of intimacy, but it really, really hurts our ability to deliver to our customers when our clients call us on the mobile all the time. Now, we don't want to be inaccessible as a business owner and a business operator. I understand that, right? And I run a service business. It's my job to give good service, right? But if a customer was calling me on my mobile phone to fix their emails that are down, and I'm on a webinar for an hour, do you think that's going to be good service to the customer? No, it's not. I've got 35 other people in the company who are better suited to serve that customer. And you may be thinking, well, Pete, I really want to be available and I really want to be able to support my customers. You really need to have a way of your customers getting in touch with you, but preferably with a team member before they get in touch with you, or even not getting in touch with you at all if they've got an effective system to get in touch with and get help from, and remove that from you. So one of the systems that we use for that is a cloud-based phone system. It's called Dialpad. And this one is tightly integrated with the Google ecosystem, which is really nice. And Dialpad runs on your computer. It runs on your mobile phone as an app. It runs on a desk phone if you really want a desk phone in the office. And it basically replaces the traditional PABX or VoIP phone system that sits in your office. Now, we're really big on the remote working thing, so it works great if you want to travel the world and make calls and make it look like as if it's coming from your office number, no matter where you are. Great system for that. But at an absolute minimum, what this system does is, because whether I'm on the app or my computer or I'm on the desk phone, and doesn't matter any location I am, as long as I've got an internet connection, either 4G or Wi-Fi, when I make that call, my O2 Sydney number calls. So it's not my mobile, even if I'm doing it from the app on the mobile, it's my O2 Sydney number that calls. And we go back to the old days of actually having a landline that someone can call to get in touch with you so that they're not bothering you on your mobile, which honestly should really only be for family and friends. It shouldn't be for that client text message at 11 o'clock on Sunday night for the customer that has poor boundaries. And so I strongly recommend this, not only because it gives you that nice separation between, oh, my phone's ringing. It's probably a family or friend. I'll actually go ahead and answer it now, right? Rather than someone random, the bank or a customer or whoever. But also what I really love about it is because it synchronizes with my address book in my computer, in my Google contacts. Anytime I want to call someone, I just search their name, right? And so when someone's calling me, I can see exactly who's calling. And so, previously when we've had phone systems that like sit in our offices, you don't know who's calling. And so it's like, hello, IT genius, right? But now I can see, hey, it's Matt from BX. Hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy? And that's going to allow me to have just a better conversation with that customer. Or I know, hey, that's a call for one of the other sales guys, and let me get Matt connected to them. And so we use a Dialpad for that. You pay like a per user fee, and you get unlimited calls, and you can port in your Telstra numbers. So, we can port in your existing landlines and all that kind of stuff. If you're interested in that, or right now you've gone and picked up the mobile to get your work done, then I'd strongly recommend considering that application, and have a chat to our team about that for a test drive. What we do with Dialpad is we set it up for you. You get 2 weeks to play with it. And then if you like it, then you can pay for licenses after that. Okay. We got a question here. A comment from Matt. I'm such an IT genius convert. I don't have a public mobile anymore. It's brilliant. Awesome. Yeah, great work, Matt. I haven't had my mobile on my signature for about 6 or 7 years now, but I have my direct line on my signature. So anyone can call my direct line and they will get through to me. But of course, company line. Whoops.
That was me. I tried to unmute myself. I muted you.
Okay, cool. That's all right.
I just want to talk and cut in, so I've just cut straight into your conversation. See that? I just mute you when I want to talk.
That's all good. But are we good now, Matt?
Yeah. I was going to say, Pete, that we switched to Dialpad when you suggested it. It's such an awesome feature that we've implemented. And I used to have 2 mobile phones. I was paying for 2 mobile services, one that I turned off after hours, so I could distance myself from 1,000 phone calls a night. But this just changed in my whole world. And the whole team uses it. It's fantastic.
Oh, love it. Love to hear that, mate. And congratulations on getting your work-life separation sorted and having good boundaries around that. That is excellent. All right, I'm going to continue moving along. We've got quite a large team. And one of the things that you can't forget when you're working remotely is making sure that you're keeping your team connected. Now, we already talked about the water cooler, which is like that kind of place for your chit chat. But making sure that you're actually doing things to help your team feel connected on an emotional level, super, super important. Now, I've been running a completely remote team, 6-ish years now. And one of the things that is most important to us is really good quality personal time, because when you're all remote, you can't do Friday night drinks. You can't do like games day in the office. You can't do bring your kid or your pet to work or anything like that. And the other thing you can't do is like pop down to the shops to grab a coffee and have a chit chat about what's going on in someone's personal life when you're completely remote. And what you may find, especially for many businesses who have gone through this process of, Zoomifying their business and everything is just happening on Zoom now, you'll find that all of your scheduled meetings have an agenda. And so there isn't much time for like the non-agenda spontaneous stuff. So I want to give you 2 tips on how you can make sure that is well looked after. One of those is doing co-work sessions. So a co-work session is where you open up a video call, and this could be with your whole team, or it could be just one-on-one with one of your team members on someone you work with day to day. Angel and I, I'm a marketing manager. We do this all the time. We did it for 5 hours today. We did it for 4 hours on Tuesday. And we basically just open up a meeting and we just work while we're on the meeting. We work away. If we've got to make a phone call, we just mute ourselves and we go off and do that. But basically we just leave that open, towards one side of our monitor. And we just chit chat while we're working away, and we shoot the shit exactly like you would do if you were sitting next to a colleague on a desk in an open plan office space. And it's not about, interrupting that person. You want to be careful with that. It's just about having that connection. And we can talk about, what did you cook for dinner on the weekend? How's your husband going? What's happening with your family? What kind of things are you doing? What shows on Netflix are you watching, right? All of that kind of stuff just kind of flows out. And so that's really important. Now, I heard of one company, we haven't tested this out yet, but we're going to, that just has one open video meeting all day long, scheduled on the calendar every day, and anyone can jump in or out of that. It's basically like the virtual water cooler meeting that anyone can jump in or out of anytime they just want to have a chit chat and see who's around. So that's another way of doing it. And I was in a long distance relationship for a little over a year. I actually had that with my partner. We had 24 hours a day, a Zoom meet open. And it would be in my lounge room and it would be at my partner's home. And so for the periods of time when we were apart from each other, we would actually just, be able to jump into that meeting at any time. And if we were both home, we'd be able to connect, which was pretty cool. So co-working is number one. The second one is you need to have a digital version of Friday night drinks. So we have one every fortnight on a Thursday. It's called TGIT. Thank God it's Thursday. And it's an hour to an hour and a half meeting where there's no work talk allowed, no work stuff allowed. And that is basically our time to play games online together. And I did a video on our channel on the best games to play with remote teams. So go check that out. We play Pictionary, we play charades. We've got a bunch of other games that we play using Google's tools as well. And there we've also got the ability to basically connect with our team in an informal sense and just talk crap. And we love doing that. We really enjoy just spending time with each other. If we've got some newbies who have just joined the business, we actually force them to do a talent show, which is one of our most favorite things. That's like, pretty nerve-wracking if you're a newbie and you've got to do a talent show in front of the whole company. But that's how we break them in. That's how we make sure that people have got the right stuff to be part of IT Genius. But that's basically our way of keeping connected with everyone. So an hour to an hour and a half, once a fortnight, that's just what works for us. I'm not prescriptive with any of this stuff, guys. I'm just sharing what works for us over many years of trying to work this out. So I want to next talk about, overload and how we can try and manage that overload. We've already talked about reducing the notifications that you get. That's super important. But quite often we tend to try and multitask by switching between multiple tasks. And it's actually impossible to multitask. The word multitask, I learned this last night on a podcast, actually represented or was coined because computers, when they're multitasking, rapidly switch between multiple tasks. They don't actually do multiple tasks at the same time. It's rapidly switching between multiple tasks. Now, for a computer, that's fine. But for humans, when we're rapidly switching between multiple tasks, it just doesn't actually work. And so the best way to get healthy and get productive in how you manage your tasks is to batch them. And so you don't have to, militantly schedule your calendar. So I only do finance on Thursdays. That's one way of doing it, and it does work for some people. Us being business owners, the reality is that we're going to be interrupted from time to time. But if you could try and put like all of your creative tasks on a Tuesday and roughly bunch them in there, for me on a Wednesday is like my finance and, meeting in with my executive team and doing like, the paying of the bills and those kind of things. That usually happens on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I have kind of a bit more of an open day where I can, do whatever comes. If you can try and batch your tasks onto certain days, then you're going to find yourself working in a lot better flow. Now, if you're like a logical brain, then having a good routine on certain days of the week is probably going to work really well for you. If you're more of a flowy, creative type brain, don't go for the regimented calendar method. More go for different days or different moods, or I do these tasks in the morning, I do these tasks in the afternoon. If you are a female-bodied person, then you may also choose, and there's some research about this, which you should go and Google online, you could also choose to actually manage your work based on the flows of your month. And so many successful female entrepreneurs will actually adjust the kind of tasks that they do week by week based on the different energies that they have on their body functions, which is amazing. I heard about that like a month ago, and I was like, damn, that is so damn obvious. Like, if we're aligning our eating patterns and our work patterns to circadian rhythms in the way that all of our bodies work, then why wouldn't we follow that trajectory as well? If that's you. Cool. So email overload is a really big problem for business owners. And I talked about removing yourself as the bottleneck and as the point of contact with your phone. The next one I want to cover off is email. And what tends to happen in a business, especially for us as business owners, is we're the head honcho. Everyone just wants to email us, right? There's a problem, email the boss. I want a faster service, email the boss. I have this question, I don't think the team can answer it, email the boss. And so we end up getting like all of the emails. My help desk receives hundreds of requests a day sometimes. Like we've got 1,500-ish customers now, and there's about 20,000 employees across all of those customers. And so literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of requests come in, sometimes a day, to our team. Imagine if they were all coming to me as a business owner. And if that's you right now, that's basically what you're setting yourself up for, and you will never be able to scale. It's interesting, there's this psychological phenomenon that many business owners will not grow their business because if they have an inefficient business model right now, more growth in their mind equals more work. Because right now, if more customers for you means I have to do more work to service more customers because you haven't delegated the actual doing in your business to a great team that's around you, then you can really, you basically hold back the growth of your business. You will never grow because in your mind, subconsciously, it's like, oh, I don't want to bring on too many customers because that would be too much more work. So we've got to really separate that. Email is one of the easiest places that you can get some real quick wins to get better at that. And basically, I want you to take a leaf out of the book of IT businesses like us who have a central mailbox where requests go. Now, it's called a ticketing system in the IT world. Some IT companies use tickets. We don't use ticket numbers, but there are tickets in kind of like the background of what we do. But we want our customers to have one place where they can go to for support. And so for us, that's help@itgenius.com. Anyone can email help@itgenius.com, customer or not, doesn't matter. You're going to go through to one of our team members and your request will never be missed. It'll be assigned to someone. The amount of time we take to reply to you will be tracked, and we have KPIs around that internally. But most importantly, we can have multiple people work on your request, and you're always going to get consistent emails from us from one email address, but multiple people can make notes, they can assign it back and forward, they can ping pong it between multiple people internally if we need to, but we know that we're going to be able to deliver really well to you. Now, I'm not saying to you to turn yourself into an IT company, and I'm not saying to you to create like a ticketing system. You can switch off the auto responses that go back to people if you want, that's totally fine. What I want you to do is think about email differently, and if you haven't already, have somewhere where your customers can email your business that is not going just to you. And then if they do email you, you hit reply and you say, hey, thanks very much for letting me know. Got to get the team onto this now. And you hit forward and you forward it to that help desk address and you let your team manage that. The other problem that you have if you've got multiple team members and you don't have a system like this set up is that when one of your staff leaves, then customers might still be emailing that staff member. And it's just not a great experience that, oh, I used to email Bob and now Bob's gone. For whatever reason, Bob's not with you, but the customer has a not great experience. So if you give the customer one email address to email, it's going to make their lives much simpler. So what do we use to do that? Oops, I skipped 2 slides. This is a collaborative inbox. The tool is called Hiver, which is one of the tools that we use and recommend. And basically, you can see right inside your Gmail inbox, you'll have all of your emails, but then you'll have the marketing mailbox. So this is an example. Let's say marketing@itgenius.com. They will come in and I can see what's unassigned. So they're all the emails that have come into sales at, or orders at, or support at, or help at, or whatever you decide. They will be unassigned until someone takes it. So if it's Matt's responsibility, Matt will take it. If it's Angel's responsibility, she'll take it. If it's mine, I'll take it. And then it sits basically in your bucket and you can go back and forth with the customer. But everyone can see those emails. That's the most important thing. So your whole team can work on it. And you get things like alerts. If you haven't, you can set an alert, right? If no one responds to an email within 6 hours, that's not good enough. So we want to have alerts happen. And then you can just manage the exceptions rather than trying to completely manage and micromanage what everyone is doing there. I've got a couple of minutes left, guys. I understand and respect your time. I want to have good boundaries around taking up your time. We are going to go a couple of minutes overboard just to give you a heads up. But if you have any questions, now is a good time to throw them in because I will hang around for Q&A as long as people are around. But pop your questions in now so I can make sure that I grab them for you guys. Cool. All right. Next one and the final one is automate. And we're not going to take very long with this. For those of you that are a bit more advanced and you're at the stage of like growing and scaling your business and you feel like you've got a good handle on the day-to-day technology tools and the day-to-day coordination of your team, automate is where you start to really optimize the resources required to run and manage your business. So someone already mentioned something cool in the comments, which is when you have a task completed or a task updated in Asana, having that drop into your chat so people can see that. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. So we use an app called Zapier, which is part of our concierge service. We will help you build out apps and these automations inside of Zapier. And so if you want to get more time back for yourself, you've got to optimize your personal time. And so I don't have time to go through all of my tips on optimizing my personal time, but I will do those for anyone who wants to hang around after or during the Q&A. I'll come back to those. But I want to talk about automating your Zaps. And Zapier is a tool that can let you do really, really groovy things. Like, for example, if someone closes a sale in Xero, you can have that automatically go into the chat thread and the whole company can congratulate the sales team on making a sale. If you have somebody email you into that email shared mailbox that we just created, right? support@yourcompany.com, you can automatically have their email added to your marketing list. And if it's the first time they emailed, You can maybe have an onboarding sequence from, ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft or Entreport or whatever you happen to be using. If you have someone sign up to a lead form on your website, put in a request, you can automatically have them go into a Google spreadsheet so you can see the data on how many requests that you're getting, and then have their details automatically pop into the chat room for your sales team. So they can give that customer a call straight away because you guys would know, got to be quick with your sales inquiries and you want to impress your customers. So that's Zapier. It basically is the glue between different cloud apps, helping them all talk to each other. And we can pretty much make any app talk to each other there, which is a really cool way of saving you time and saving you double entry on your data entry. And then finally, you got to have some way of displaying it. You got to have some way of knowing how you're going, how are your KPIs going, and how are your team going. So again, this is another advanced tip for businesses that are in scale mode, who want to see their business data. We can build dashboards like this in something called Google Data Studio, which is a free dashboarding app. Thank you, Google. And we have built connectors to Xero.com, Asana, Google Sheets, Facebook. Basically, if you've got data, we can pull all of that into and build you a custom dashboard like this, which is just part of our service. It's a free service for our concierge members. So if you're already a member of our support team on concierge, then you basically get access to this. We will build out your dashboard. Yes, Infusionsoft. We use Infusionsoft, so we can pull Infusionsoft data from this as well, into this as well. And if you've got custom software, then we can also connect to that. So I'm going to go to Q&A, guys. While your questions are coming through, please go ahead and send them through. Pete has asked, are they API native or do they have to be custom built? So Pete, we connect to whatever APIs you have. And so, if you have a custom API that we've not yet built, we just have like a one-time fee for building a connector to that API. But the actual building of the dashboards, the tweaking of the dashboards, all of that is basically included as part of the managed service. So it's all you can eat. And we have companies that are using this for all kinds of data, and people put it up in TVs, on their offices, in their offices, and that kind of stuff. All right, what tool or platform do you use for business proposals? The team use PandaDoc. PandaDoc integrates really nicely with Copper CRM, which is the tool that we use to manage our sales team. Copper CRM also integrates really deeply with G Suite, but I didn't have time to cover that one. But if you're interested in CRM systems or productivity around your sales or account management or relationship teams, then let us know. Happy to help out with that. Cool, love that one. Great work, awesome. All right, while we're waiting here, I'm going to go ahead. Have I heard of Quilla? I've not heard of Quilla. While we're going ahead here, I'm going to share one or two tips really quickly for you on optimizing your personal time. Matt, I hope it's cool. We go a couple of minutes overboard. I want you to really think about having a healthy division between your home life and your work life, even if you are physically at home doing your work right now. For those of you, even if you're a seasoned work-at-home worker, you really need to make sure that you have clear boundaries between how you're working at home when you're in either personal mode or whether you're in work mode. So a couple of key tips that I have for you. Number one is set up 2 profiles on your computer. One is Work Pete and one is Home Pete. So having those 2 profiles on your computer mean that when you start the workday, you sign into the work one, you've got all your work stuff there, and you're not going to have any, games or pop-ups or any other junk popping up. You can just be in work mode. Then at the end of the day, you sign out, you have a nice division, and you go into personal mode for your evening, Netflix, Facebook, blah, 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 whatever else. You may choose to leave block site on all day long permanently, to block your social media accounts on the work profile, but not on the personal profile. Maybe you want to leave the timeline switched on your personal profile, whatever, it's up to you. Another trick that I love is after your workday finishes, of course, go for a quick walk. If you can take a couple of minutes or just stand outside for a couple of minutes, that one also works. But actually switching your clothes. So I will switch my t-shirt. I'll wear a non-IT Genius shirt in the evenings. I don't wear it all the time, although some people may be suspicious otherwise. But actually switching to a different set of clothes helps you with a state change, so neurological pathway state change, and you're like, I'm out of work mode now. Okay, cool. One of the other little tips is to do a debrief. So if you can do a debrief with your partner or your kids or your dog or whoever will listen to you, do a quick debrief, 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the workday, and just do a bit of a chit chat. And this is the chit chat you would normally do at like 5:15 p.m. if you're sitting in an office with your staff, or if you're down at the cafe, or if you're grabbing a drink after work with a mate. That's that little bit of chit chat to kind of like unload from the day. Hey, we got that proposal signed, or we got this client sorted out, or we did this webinar, or hey, I learned this interesting thing today. Get all that done. and then you can show up and be present in your personal family mode for the loved ones that are around you. And then finally, start and end your day right. I am a firm believer that these things are very, very dangerous to our psychological health. And so I have a no tech rule in the bedroom. My phone gets charged. You put your phone on charge on the counter or in a second room or wherever, but somewhere that's not in your bedroom. And I would recommend, if you are currently using it for an alarm clock, get a Google Home or something else, or you go to Kmart and get an old school alarm clock to wake yourself up in the morning. But get the hell away from these. Many people will wake up and they will touch their phones the first thing in the morning. You should be touching your partner or yourself. Stay away from the mobile phone. It's just not good for you. It starts all kinds of like weird dopamine and cortisol responses as soon as you wake up. And it actually literally messes with the chemistry and the hormones in your brain. And that time when you wake up is actually the best time for you to be present, for you to create, if you have content that you want to come up with. And if right now you're feeling burnout or overwhelm or millennial brain or any of those things, then cutting down on your screen time, not only when you wake up, but also before you go to bed as well. Everyone knows that one. But that will really, really, really help you. And I pray that you guys do it because trust me, it's life-changing. Even though I'm the tech guy, I also really believe in having good boundaries around your technology and making sure that it doesn't control your life and impact you on a personal level. So I'm going to finish here, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you would like to get in touch with us, follow our content. Right now, head along to www.itgenius.tv. I'm going to drop it in here if that's okay, Matt. itgenius.tv. And subscribe there. We've got heaps of lives. We've got heaps of videos. We've also got a YouTube channel as well. If you head along to our YouTube channel, you can subscribe there too. But the lives are where we do most of the stuff live. And we have a ebook download on IT Genius. Head along to itgenius.com/remote. We've got an ebook there on top tips for getting set up working at home. We've got 3 ebooks: the Systemize to Scale, Secure, and Sync. I can't remember what they're called, but they're awesome ebooks depending on what stage of business you are at. So if you go to our homepage, you can click on those and check them out. And anytime you need me, if you go to itgenius.tv, you can just send me a PM there. And if I can help you, I'll help you. Otherwise, I'll direct you to the team to help you out as well. But I appreciate your time. Thank you for gifting me your attention. And hopefully we can work together at some stage in the future. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Put your hands together, Peter Moriarty. Fantastic presentation. Peter is fantastic, by the way. I'm a big fan of IT Genius. Been working with Peter for many years, actually about 5 or 6 years. In fact, Peter,
yes.
You presented at our first Be Exponential event back in 2015 at the Wesley Conference Centre, and you did a session on Inbox Zero, and it got rated as the best session of the day. And you were up with some pretty phenomenal speakers, actually. Mark Burris, I think, and that were there, and that everything. So it was a great day. But that video that we did, that training that you did on that day, that presentation, is available on our member exchange. So members can go back and watch it. It was a cracker. And I still use some of the strategies, including just moving everything.
I hope so.
I do. No, I use the strategies every day, but sometimes when you just can't get on top of it, I just move everything to another folder and start afresh. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's that one's actually presented by my brother, Fat Pete.
Also a good-looking guy. I find that the larger we get, the less wrinkles we get. So
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, you're only 31, so you don't have that issue
later.
Awesome. Well, it's great having you on, Peter. And I must say, as I said, big fan of IT Genius. We've been working with them for 5 years. We implemented Dialpad at the end of last year. We're also implementing, you don't know this yet, Pete, but Dale and I have been talking about implementing the Data Studio, and I've got to get you onto that as well. So
great.
Love it and big fan. So thank you very much. And thank you for sharing with all our members today, and great content as always. Thanks, guys. And I'll catch you all soon. And I'm sure I'll see you online, some BX online somewhere soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.